Ours has always been a nation that admires superlatives. Biggest, strongest, highest, longest. And longest is what the next half hour is about. The King Kongs of the practice tee gathered this week at the Atlanta Athletic Club to determine their champion for 1981. Not who can score the best or have the most beautiful swing, just who can belt that ball farther than anybody else around. Some of the results were awesome, as we will see. ABC Sports presents the National Long Driving Championship. From the Atlanta Athletic Club in Duluth, Georgia. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Reynolds Aluminum, conserving our resources and energy. Aluminum can, and Reynolds does. And by Goodyear, makers of Arriva. Even its footprint tells you it's different. Well, good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay, speaking to you live from the Atlanta Athletic Club, where the Rebel yells are at the ready. There's going to be a lot of hooting and hollering before this day is done, one way or another, because a down-home boy named Larry Nelson is leading the PGA Golf Championship. He's still leading it with less now than 18 holes to play. He lives just about 45 minutes from here. As I said, everybody has turned out, and it's really going to be an exciting afternoon one way or the other. Now, he started with a 4-stroke lead today, and already that has begun to dwindle. He has lost 1 stroke, not by his own devices, but due to the fact that Fuzzy Zeller, who's in second place in the championship, has birdied the second hole. Why don't we right now, as a matter of fact, have a look at the leaderboard? Here's how they stand during the third round of the fourth round of the PGA. Nelson now by 3 over Fuzzy Zeller, still by 5 over Andy North, Tom Kite, and Bob Murphy, by 7 over Keith Fergus and young Vance Hefner. Some of the others all at even par there. Jerry Pate, who won the U.S. Open on this course, Litsky and Greg Norman of Australia, Aoki of Japan, Eastwood, who was right up there yesterday, now fading, Dan Pohl, who also was up, and David Edwards. Now, we'll have our coverage starting at 3:30, right after the long driving contest live. Now to our colleagues earlier this week, Peter Ellis and Dave Marr.
Well, I don't care what anybody says. There's something quite magical about being able to slog a golf ball for miles and miles. The privilege is given to very few, and although they say you drive for show and putt for dough, I'm sure most people, even the greats, love to smash that ball just as hard as they possibly can. Well, in this year's Long Driving Championship, over 5,000 contestants set out on that long road of hitting that rubber as hard as they could. They whittled it down, and when we arrived here, we've already had 16 semi-finalists having a go. We're down to the last 6, and Dave, there are some mighty good swingers amongst them.
Well, it's really gotten a lot better through the years. Good technique, and I went in the locker room earlier to meet a couple of guys and talk to them. I got there at a bad time. It was feeding time, and it was growling and carrying on in there. I tell you, there's some awesome physical specimens in that locker room.
The chef's doing plenty of steak tartare.
It's never seen a fire, I want to tell you. It just knocked the breath out of it and bring it on.
Have you noticed they start measuring at 270? Start measuring at 270.
Peter, I don't go that far to hunt for my kids, so that's totally alien territory to me with the driver.
Well, we're going to have a lot of fun, so let's sit back and watch them smash it. Well, there's the driving area they were aiming at, and the standings after the first round, well, they looked like that. Let's the top 6 go forward to the final, so let's have a look at some of the action in that first semi-final there, Dave, which was pretty exciting stuff, wasn't it?
Oh, really some crushers out here, Peter, and I was a little surprised at Lon Hinkle's drive. You can see what his tour average is. He's 7th among the hitters on the tour, but he got a new driver just for this, and look what happened.
It's about 4 inches longer than standard. And he just got it going nicely down that right side, didn't he? And it was, look at that running on.
Maybe 4 inches longer than standard, but that's about 50 yards farther than human.
Well, 324 yards was a mighty good blow. The defending champion, he struggled a bit, didn't he, Scott DeCandia?
He'd told me he had a broken wrist during the past year, and he didn't get to play very much.
Well, he in fact only really got 1 away, and that went just 301 yards, just over 301. And it was sad, really, that he didn't make it to the finals, wasn't it? It's always sad to see the defending champ out of it.
But he said he had a fine year, and there's one of our leading swimmers on tour.
He'll have happy memories of this golf club. But what about this big fella with a whippy old driver?
He's been the favorite for a long time, and he gets one off here that Mission Control couldn't keep up with.
Just look at that. On it goes, on and on and on. last tape, there was at 350 yards, and Tom Winwell with his third shot, well, he got the 340-yard wife and son were giggling and enjoying it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Ziegler.
He enjoyed it too, didn't he?
Certainly did. Watch this.
Hey, wake up here and pay attention. I know you're not scared.
Oh, hell, is this in black and white? Who dressed you this morning, Ziegler? Here. Throw in the towel, baby. Huh? Pull him out of the ring, coach. He's dead.
So we default.
Free beer there, Ziegler.
Well, he hit a pretty good one, 309.
Ziegler, I got a man at work over here.
Now Fuzzy. Gave it all he had. 260.
I really needed this, I'll tell you.
A character, eh?
He certainly is. Looked like he got his hair done at a pet shop.
No, I'll sit down here.
Now, what about this? A lump of iron, eh?
This is something new that's really showing up with young Chris Harney here, son of Paul Harney.
Tongue out. Ooh, good job he didn't nip his teeth together there, otherwise he'd have been donking like that, maybe.
He really got some speed in that club, I want to tell you, Peter, but he just didn't keep it on the world.
His practice swing, when he really let it go, terrified me.
No means Evan Williams. Big Cat, welcome. Nice to have you here again.
Most famous long driver maybe of all time, eh?
He is in this country, Peter, and he's a terrific young man.
But sadly, he couldn't keep him on the island, eh?
Couldn't keep it in this area code.
It looked as if he blocked it right, but then we see it flying down the left side and still well airborne when it was about 290. Well, that was some of the highlights. We'll be back with the top 6 in just a moment in this year's long driving championship at the Atlanta Athletic Club. Well, this is it. We're down to the last 6. Each player has just 4 strokes. There's no carryover from the first round, so that wonderful drive of 341 yards by Tom Winrow counts for nothing. And here's an interesting character, Dave. Fred Hooter with his metal driver.
He's also in the metal airplane business. He's an airplane salesman, tried to qualify for the tour but didn't make it, but he has some length and really moves the club.
Well, that's his third one. The first 2 were out of play. That looks good. A lot depends on where the ball pitches. See, that one really didn't run too far, did it?
Just checked up on him a little there, and a softer spot in the fairway. You've got to be kind of lucky to catch a hard spot.
And also, with the driving area being a slight dog leg, if you can get a low runner, see that 307 yards, 26 inches, and just 1 to go, I don't think we'll see him holding back on this one.
Notice he's got a real strong left hand, a lot of knuckles showing there. Give him a little hook. Ooh.
That's down the left side. The pitch is about 265. More run, but I don't think that's quite as far as his third one. No, 306.16.
Very close, 306.
So, let's just have a look at that again. Look at that very strong grip that Dave was talking about. Big turn, moves back, drives through. He's got some interesting movements there. Here he is with Dave.
Fred, you just got that new wood yesterday. Tell me about it.
Well, Dave, I ran to a friend here, Gary Albright, and he was hitting these Pittsburgh persimmons, they call them, these metal woods. And he was kind enough to let me use one, and I hit it pretty good yesterday in practice, and I thought I'd go with it. I was just a little quick up there, you know. I hear the buzz of the camera and all that kind of stuff. But it's a good club, and I appreciate him letting me use it.
Well, one of the amateurs qualified for this final, Jeff Fick, 28, 5'11", a big boy, and a good swing, Dave.
Very impressed with how graceful he is swinging at it and the length that he gets.
And pretty well dead center. And it just doesn't reach the 320. Not quite. That's a good hit, isn't it? It's nearly 320.
We're apologizing for shots that are 320 and 307.
318
Well,
yards,
318.35. And And there's big Cat Williams staying on to watch the action that he's not in, sadly. Now, Fick's second shot. Good stance, Dave, and big swing.
Very graceful swinger.
And dead center, just right of center. Not quite as far as the first one. Well, before Jeff hit his 6 balls, he spoke with Dave on the psychology of long driving.
Well, I don't know about psychology. What I've done up to this point is tried to get my first one in the fairway. From there, I can go. You can't win if you don't have it in the fairway. So that's what I've tried to do so far.
Why do you feel that you hit the ball so far?
That's a good question. I guess I just always have. I get the club head back pretty far, and I guess I generate a good bit of club head speed.
Peter, I don't think he gets it back quite as far as he said, but he certainly moves through it, and oh my goodness, he crushed that one.
Because any money that he may win goes to the junior program, doesn't it, of the PGA?
That's correct, and this might be a big winner for junior golf here. In 6 years, they've raised over $250,000 for the program.
Yeah, that's great.
And this is very large.
Only just in play. They're about a foot in. Anxiously watching, and there it is, 336 12 inches. That's very far.
That ought to pump the rest of the guys up that are waiting in the wings.
Sporting a shake of the hand there from his fellow competitors. And now young Bobby Wilson's first shot. What a nice young man this is. 25, 6'3", could be in the movies.
Well, he was on our Olympic handball team in 1980, and as you've said, he is a very nice young man.
That was good balance. And again, not too much run, David. Big carry.
Looks like he hit it a little on the upshoot. He didn't quite turn. If he can turn one over, right to left.
328.
And we're apologizing.
The sister looking on. Big brother goes with his second shot. Each player just gets 4 shots, and if you miss the fairway with the first 2, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on. Wilson's second looks good also, Dave.
He is swinging very well. Of course, at 6'3", helps you. Nice big arc. Look at this one.
That's a monster drive, but again, no real run. In fact, that wasn't quite as far, about 325, about 3 yards short of his first effort. Now, number 3.
Turn one over, Bobby, and you get a little more distance.
That looked to be very similar to the first 2, but it was a beautiful strike. Look at that again. He's almost dropped them on a postage stamp.
When you consider how hard he's trying to hit it, that is really 3 good drives.
Fingers crossed. Sister Jan. Now, the grand finale. Longest drive was his first. Everyone urging it on. And no. Well, I don't think you'll see 4 better drives than that, Dave.
Not
4 magnificent drives. But our leader so far is the young amateur, Jeff Fick, with that super drive. Will it stand up? We'll have to wait and see.
If you use Desinex for athlete's foot, here's something you should know. Doctors recommend the medication in Aftate 10-to-1 over that in Desinex. 10-to-1. And here's something else you should know. Aftate kills athlete's foot fungus on contact and helps prevent reinfection. That's why we say Aftate really works. And here's another Aftate product that really works. It's Aftate for jock itch in the green can.
Goodyear Arriva. How do you get performance on the road?
BMW and Arriva. Datsun and Arriva.
Fiat and Arriva.
Mazda and Arriva. Saab and Arriva.
Now an all-season radio from Goodyear for import owners. Steel-belted Arriva radios in sizes for almost every import car on the road. Even its footprint tells you it's different. How do you get the performance you want?
With a showstopper like Arriva. Arriva, what a name.
Arriva, only from Goodyear.
You go, and a young amateur, Jeff Fick, leads the way with a good drive of 336 yards, 12 inches. Now, Lon Hinkle from the PGA Tour. First shot.
Good setup. Right arm relaxed, left arm good and straight. His takeaway, his swing is really good. Watch this.
Ooh. Extra long driver, Dave. 4 inches longer than standard. Now, he likes to favor the right side, doesn't he?
Talking to Lon, the tour players seem to think the right side gets a little more roll. That rolled out there fairly far.
321.
While the long drivers thought the left side.
Yeah, well, remember the total of Jeff Fick's 336 and 12 inches is the best so far. Hinkle's second shot. That's down the right. That's heading where he said he'd like to hit it. Will it run? Oh, that seemed to bounce hard, David. Look at it go.
And got back in bounds.
Look at it go. That almost reached the 340 tape, didn't it? He's smiling and he looks happy. That was a huge shot.
338 yards.
338 yards, 6 inches. That's just 3 and a bit shorter than Tom Winrose in the semi-finals, but it passes young Jeff Fick.
What an upset this would be for a tour player to win this. Good takeaway, straight left arm, back to the right. Now watch him keep his head behind it, but look at this body move. Watch where his shoulders finish through the ball. Holy mackerel.
Well, he's a big lad too, isn't he, eh? Well, there's number 3. He stands well away. He's got that long driver, of course, but gives himself room, David. Eh? Turns round his head. Just keeps the body still.
Told me he's got the weight on this because it's so long, you can't hit it like he does his regular driver.
Throw himself a bit at that one.
Well, he can afford to let out now. He's got the leader so far, so go ahead and go for it.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hinkle?
I'm glad I don't do this.
Well, that shows you, though, Peter. Look at that, just 300 yards.
And John Cook has played in a good year. And number 4. He didn't hold back on that one. But I think 338 and 6 inches may well be his best ever. Yes, you see there the ball not galloping down the fairway like that second shot of Lon's. So there he is, the current leader, 338 yards. The answer might be, Dave, if you want to hit it far, get a big hat.
And a big driver and a big body, none of which I have.
Well, new leader now, another amateur, Alan Santamaria. And his first shot. He looked very good in the semi-finals.
Well, I like his chances. He's not a big, muscular-looking guy, but he can move it.
Boom.
Stand.
You know, you get one in the fairway first, and he's done just that. They see that ball stop very quickly.
We're apologizing for about $2.99, are we?
Well, it looks about $2.99. Of course, as an amateur, his money would go to the PGA Junior program, which is very good. Now, here's his second shot. That's a good-looking shot down the right center.
Come on. Come on. Get up.
He gives it a little talking to.
He's urging it on. It goes over the 320. Round about the 325 mark. That's well short of Lon Hinkle's. Hinkle, remember, leads the way with 338 yards and 6 inches. And there's the big fellow in the big hat watching Santamaria, who spoke to Dave before he hit these 4 balls.
Go.
As an amateur, you're not eligible for the prize money. Why did you enter the National Long Drive?
I've been in it this is my 6th year now. This is the furthest I've made it. Reason I get in it is really the fun of it. I really enjoy competing, and it's great to be here at the PGA with Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus. I mean, that was a thrill enough for me.
Well, the third one went out of bounds, and so here's his last shot.
He'll give this a rip, Peter.
Got to beat 338. His best pop was 324.7 inches. And that's not going to do it. So, with just one man to go, Big Tom Winrow, Lon Hinkle from the PGA Tour leads the way. No Tour Pro has ever won. Can he do it?
Believe it or not, if 9 out of 10 of these...
Our leader, Lon Hinkle, with that drive of 338 yards, 6 inches. He can hardly believe it. Only one man can beat him. And there he is, Tom Winrow, who, before he started this competition, spoke to Dave Marr about the efforts he makes to psych himself up for that big drive.
Well, I don't know if I really psych myself either way. It's, you know, it's one of those things that you get in here and then your adrenaline's flowing, obviously. And the main thing here is just after you hit it to find it. You know, find it, you know, we're down the fairway somewhere. It makes a little bit of difference, you know, when you get 4 balls, and it's tough to try and hit it hard, but yet still try and find it and keep it in the fairway.
This is his 3rd shot, Peter, and his first one went out of bounds. The second one, 277, so the psych may be in Mr. Hinkle's corner here at 338.6.
All players using the same make of ball, unmarked, just long driving championship printed on them, and 100 compression. Down the right and nearly out of bounds, David, I think. Just in, is it?
Good roll. Yes, it just
in.
Just in. A little over 310.
Just over 310, yeah.
Like we're uninterested in 310.
Yeah, that's dreadful, isn't it? Isn't that awful?
Well, these numbers are a little different.
Wife and son looking anxious now. And leader, too, looking... well, he knows there's just one to go. And this is it. Last shot. He's got to go more than 338, 6 inches.
For $10,000.
$10,000 at stake, and that's in the trees on the left. And the winner from the PGA Tour, and the first professional from the PGA Tour to win the event, is Lon Hinkle, the long driving champion of 1981. First prize of $10,000, being congratulated by all his fellow competitors. We'll be back to talk with Lon Hinkle in a moment.
Same league with you guys. Look, man, I'm not the same league.
Well, we're here with the winner, Lon Hinkle. Lon, before you went out, you said you weren't in the same league as these guys. So what happened to you?
I'm still not in the same league, I'll tell you that. I was out there hitting balls with them on the range, and I'm hitting balls that are bouncing, bouncing, rolling into these trees, and they're hitting them 2/3, 3/4 of the way up. But one thing I did have is I have just a little better control over the ball than a lot of these fellas, and I noticed that the right side seemed to me to be a little harder. And you get a little roll, and I was trying, the fairway goes from right to left, and I was trying to hit a high, hard hook, and I crushed 3 of them.
Well, it was great to see, and I've never seen his 4 and young Jeff's 4 were great, weren't they?
Absolutely. The shots consistency is a lot better. Lon, let me ask you, would you use that driver in a tournament?
I don't think so, Dave. I don't think so. It's just too long. When you hit it that far, if you hit it offline, think of where it's going.
I can't think that far.
It's up for auction, folks. Put in your bids now for the longest driver of 1981. Well done, Lon.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it. And I had an absolute ball. Absolute ball. But it'd be a tough way to make a living.
So the long driving champion for 1981 from the PGA Tour, Lon Hinkle. Stay tuned for the final round of the 1981 PGA Championship from the Atlanta Athletic Club. The National Long Driving Championship was produced by Bob Goodrich. Directed by Jim Jeanette. Technical Director, Werner Gunther. Associate Director, Jack Graham. Assistants to the producer, Barbara Donahue and Jibby Roberts. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by the Sears Muzzler, the aluminized muffler tough enough to be sold by Sears Tire and Automotive Centers. The Muzzler at Sears. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about. This has been an ABC Sports presentation.